All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming to this session. My name is Yohannan. I'm from EMC, and I'm responsible for our Academic Alliance program in North America. And I'm joint presenting today with Rich Weeks from Network Development Group. A lot of you know NDG, hopefully, or I don't know, are some of you guys NDG users? Nobody here? A couple people? So anyways, we started partnering with NDG about 2 years ago with our program because EMC has a couple courses that are technology-based but didn't have any labs. So what do schools want? They want labs. So it was a really natural fit to partner with NDG to create some labs for the courses. And what I'm going to do is just do a quick introductory on what our program is and what we make available to you, and then specifically with the Cloud Infrastructure and Services course, Rich is going to get into what are the labs that support that course, how can you get access to those labs, how does it work, what do they entail. So the EMC Academic Alliance program, just a little history, is it started back in 2006 because EMC saw that there was a need for storage skills in the industry, and community colleges and colleges in general just weren't providing storage training for the students. So we said, hey, as a leader in this field, we need to do something to address this. So they created the Academic Alliance program. And it just started with our information storage and management course. But about in 2012, so 2 years ago now, EMC said, hey, obviously there's a lot as the industry continues to change. It's always evolving and it's very hard to keep up with it. We added 2 additional courses, Cloud Infrastructure and Data Science and Big Data Analytics to it. What's unique about our program is all of our courses are technology-based, so they're not product-specific to EMC, so they're applicable to any vendor, which most colleges and universities really like, and they're provided at no cost. This is our commercial training, so we're not watering this down or giving you something different. Today, we have 15,000 institutions in over 70 countries, and we've educated over 180,000 students. In the U.S., we have about 275 institutions. We're in all but 3 states here. So the open course curriculum, I think that's really a key thing. As I mentioned, these are the 4 courses. I didn't mention that we have a backup recovery systems and architecture. This is probably, not as high demand, but if people really want to focus on backup, that course is available. We do, though, although it's technology-based courseware, we do include examples from EMC, Cisco, VMware, VCE, which is a company VMware, Cisco, and EMC created, where you basically get cloud in the box. Instead of going each independent vendor, you can buy them as one solution. This just gives you the quick overview of what each of the courses, the kind of high-level theory concepts. For the information storage and management course, we do have a textbook version. So this is the same as our commercial curriculum, but it's a textbook from Wiley. There are plans for us to come out with a textbook version for the Cloud Infrastructure and Services course. Probably later to the end of this year, that'll come out from Wiley as well. And there will be plans to also do a data science one, but that will be after cloud sometime. Probably not for the backup course. One of the things that EMC does every year is we do a study every year where we watch our customers and partners and our non-customers as well, and we ask, what are your biggest challenges around the growth of digital information? And this is a great study, and no surprise, every year, we've been doing it for about 6 years, is managing their storage for us. As we all know, all the devices we carry, I mean, I came here with my laptop, my Kindle, my iPhone. We have all this data, right? All this personal data, it's all electronic. It needs to be stored, managed, and protected for ourselves. Just imagine that at the enterprise level. And so that's always number one. But I think the key thing here to really highlight is there's a lack of skilled storage professionals that have the skill set, and there's a lack of cloud technology professionals. And as no surprise to many of you heard, I mean, the next big thing is a lack of people with big data analytics skills. So that's, and I always say don't take EMC's word for it. IDC at the end of 2012 said that more than 1.7 million jobs related to cloud computing remain unfulfilled worldwide. The reason for this is a lack of training and certification. And the McKinsey & Company have done a study, if you guys haven't seen this study, that by 2018 the U.S. alone faces a shortage of 140,000 to 190,000 people with analytical expertise and 1.5 million managers and analysts with the skills to understand and make decisions based on the analysis of big data.
Are you guys going into high schools trying to So that's the key, I mean, as educators, is to go into high schools and start freshman level and visiting high schools and trying to get kids interested in this.
Understood. So this particular program is not geared at the high school level because it's too advanced.
I understand, just to try to get them interested in ICC in general.
Yes.
And data.
No.
We need to get, in a sense, colleges don't have the money, we need corporations to help provide stipends to college faculty and others to get them to go into high schools. Yeah,
I would say, EMC has a community involvement program where there is a place where folks can apply for money and funding from EMC. I know we have programs where we're funding STEM initiatives that might either focus on women or underdeserved areas or whatnot. I don't know specifically all the details. I know that we're doing some of that. But I don't know at what level. I mean, I agree with you. I would even argue that you should start earlier. I mean, I have a background in, first grade education. I mean, so I did that for many years before I went into IT, and I think, it starts earlier than that, getting kids interested in math and science and keeping that interest alive. So, I don't think we'll solve that today, but it's a valid point for sure. And the Harvard Business Review has said that the data science is the sexiest job of the 21st century. So these are just some resources that are out there that talk about the need for this and why it's important. So it does align with where EMC has focused our energies. How do you get started with the program? How does it work? We have an online end-user license agreement. It's like a membership form. We only allow 2- and 4-year degree granting institutions into the program. So it is not geared towards high school. The reason for that is the content's just too advanced. So if you meet that criteria, you get accepted. We provide you with the courseware, which again, as I mentioned, is the same as our commercial courseware that folks come to EMC and pay to take these classes. We provide you the PowerPoints. We provide free e-learning for each of the courses. So it's a tape delivery of an instructor-led delivery of the class. We have a faculty community that provides all of the PowerPoints, lessons plans, use cases, all the material, so you don't have to go create that. And one thing I will say is through our partnership with NDG, if you go to EMC commercially to take either the information storage and management or the cloud infrastructure and services class, you don't get labs. So we partner with NDG, and they've created labs to support the course that are, most of them are based on, the ISM is based on open source virtual storage appliances. You have to have servers running VMware and then use OpenFiler. And the cloud labs I know are using FreeNAS, and then obviously some VMware software. So, and Rich will talk more in detail about those. So you wouldn't get that. Only the academic institutions that have NETLAB can get access to those labs for the courseware. The data science class does come with labs from EMC. So that one does have labs. We give you a very large, like a 20 gig VM. Again, you have to have the infrastructure to support it, but we give you the virtual machine for that. So, and basically all EMC asks in return when you join the program is that you teach the courses for academic credit. That's why we give it away for free. And then we do want to know when you're going to teach it and how many students are getting the coursework. Not the names of the students or anything like that. They all tie to EMC certifications, and we do give students a 63% discount off the certification, so they get it for $75 instead of $200. So I will say that. This is just the homepage, so if you wanted to go out to education.emc.com, and here's where you have the apply for membership. You can download our program guide, which has all of the course outlines. You can get into our faculty community from here if you're registered, and we also have a student portal that students that are enrolled in the courses can go in, and there's additional e-learning, free e-learning to the students. Some of them would be product-based. A lot of times students want additional product knowledge once they are in one of the courses. I will say that if you're interested in any of these courses, I'm happy to send you a free copy of the curriculum, just like either the textbook for ISM or the spiral-bound commercial courseware for the others to evaluate. You don't obviously have to return it if it doesn't fit your needs, but a lot of times people obviously want to see what it is beyond the course outline. So we can bring this back up at the end. It just has my information, Rich's information, where to get program information. You can get a free eval account from NDG to try out the ISM labs. I will highlight for the cloud and the ISM class over the summer, we'll be doing online synchronous training through CASIA. So if any of you, are you guys familiar with CASIA? They do a lot of online training. We're running this week actually our first cloud infrastructure and services online training. And the way that they're structured, even the ISM one, we did one in December, is a lecture in the morning, and then you get this opportunity to do the labs in the afternoon. And if you're not, obviously we'd like you to join the program, but it's also a great way if you go through passive, provided you're a faculty member, you can take the training and not be in the program. Obviously the incentive then to join is if you want to do it, to get all the materials you have to join. So, but it's a great way to check out the curriculum and have that week experience. So I will highlight, just to go there, it'll be advertised when the classes are going to be scheduled. And at this point, I did want to finally mention just the Facebook, that we have, I think, almost close to 1 million Facebook fans, and we post a lot of current stuff out there for students because the program is global, and it's just a great resource. So if you're not familiar with it, I just wanted to highlight it. And then at this point, I'm going to hand this over to Rich to talk about the Cloud Lab. Absolutely.
So guys, educate me on what's of value to you. That'll help me turn this into something that you need. So what roles do you play at your academic institution? We've got a small group today. I went through the rooms. There's not a lot of folks in a lot of the rooms. I'm not really sure. Second day after lunch. So we can take this anywhere you want because we do have a small group. So what's of value to you? What is it your roles that you do at your school? Instructor?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. And what do you teach? Computer science. 2-year, 4-year, high school?
2-year.
2-year community college? Okay, great. Department of Education?
Education admin and occasional faculty.
Ah, cool. Okay. So you kind of support the whole system then, right? Yeah, got it.
Faculty looking for the CIS.
Okay, so you want to teach this in the classroom?
Already scheduled.
Oh, terrific. Woo woo! Let's roll up our sleeves then. All right. And you're not Kim, but you are teaching. I'm sorry, I'm Rich, and you're?
I'm an faculty member in CIS.
Oh, so you're going to teach this class too?
Maybe.
Oh, I got to sell you to teach the class, maybe. Convince you to teach it. Okay. Faculty, I know. Right? Okay. What courses you teach now?
Cisco.
Cisco. Okay, awesome. Awesome. All right. And I'm sorry, sir, if you're...
Computer science.
Okay. Faculty?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. So I personally believe this is a really good match for 2 communities of students. You've got the IT student who wants hard skills, right? He wants to get a job. Many of the students want to jump right into something like Cisco because they know somebody working in industry, they get a Cisco cert, they get a job real quick. Or they hear about VMware and they want to get their VCP, and when they get their VCP, they know they're going to get a job right away, right? But what's the problem with Cisco, CCNA, and VCP, if you call it a problem? It's hard. Does anybody disagree with that? It's hard. It's hard work to get a VCP. It's hard work to get a CCNA, right? So what's nice about this class is if you've got a learner who's gone to a counselor or heard from somebody, hey, if you get in the IT industry, you're going to have a great job. Or somebody that wants to go on the business track. I remember when I was in college, I was thinking to myself, well, I'll be a manager. So I went and studied management. I didn't know anything about anything. What was I going to manage, right? So if you're on a business track, this class gives you a really good overview of what this cloud computing is from the technologist perspective. Earlier I mentioned the gentleman that worked on the labs for us. He said, Rich, you really ought to do these labs, and any other business manager, if you will, should do the labs so they understand my job as a technician working in the cloud computing and virtualization area for them. So I think those are the 2 value adds. Now let's talk about what we do real quick. We work with Cisco so that if a school wants to rack and stack a set of equipment, they can host it so their students can work from home and do the labs on real equipment. It complements Cisco Packet Tracer. Now, we support all of these Cisco labs, including Cisco ITE, so you can work on your A+. Now, how is that relevant to a cloud course? All of these things are actually relevant to a technologist working in cloud computing. Why? Networking is relevant to cloud computing. Why? What do? Virtual networking. You got to configure a virtual switch. Make sense? Well, if you just configure the virtual switch, but you don't understand TCP/IP, the odds are you don't know what you did. You just did something over and over again that you learn repetitive, but you're not sure why you did it and what the purpose was. Are you going to create a secure infrastructure if you're off doing that? Probably not. Then we get into the security concerns and security education, which we have libraries for. So we're in a lot of different disciplines. Now, we partner with vendor programs. So why is that relevant? Obviously, we're going to be very centric to a Cisco education because they're our partner. There's other network vendors, but this program probably offers the most comprehensive free program to academia, period. It's just free. Go do your thing in public education. Same thing with VMware. Got a turnkey free program where you can get virtualization software for your students. So all these programs are things that we support, including the Linux Professional Institute. And I'll show you some cool stuff. Yeah?
Do you have to be a member of Cisco Academy?
Okay. For these labs, you have to join their program. For these labs, you have to join the VMware program. For these labs, you would have to join LPI.org Academy. Okay? So there's a lot of cross-pollination. Once you join one.
Between these, the other and you.
This course we're going over today is a joint venture between EMC, VMware, and our company is helping by writing labs. Okay. Does that answer that question? Okay. I just want to make sure you got the big picture here. So if one school wants, they can set up this, and all these labs become available remotely to their students, and they can share with another school. All right, so that's the value add proposition. Lots of libraries and labs. Now, here's another thing. I love this. This is from Kim's slide deck. Everybody remember 2012? The news, all the job lines, nobody could get a job, right? We're coming out of that bad trend. Now we're really kind of cranking again. All the Wall Street guys are buying big cars again now, right? Everything's cranking again. But IT is down, supposedly. There's no jobs. This gap is still there. Why? We're training Microsoft technicians. We're training desktop guys. We're training skills that aren't necessarily relevant to what the employers want, which is cloud computing skills, right? Does everybody agree with that? We need to start teaching the students virtualization and how to build a private cloud or how to build a large cloud so they can get in that interview and kick butt and get the job. All right? Now this cloud infrastructure course, here's the key activities that you're going to do during the class on this side. Now I'm not going to sit here and read them. I know it's not big enough for you to read it, but I'm going to summarize for what you're doing basically is you're going to introduce your learning to storage. Has anybody got a feel why we want to introduce the learner to storage? Go, Kim, go.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you can't do server virtualization without sharing.
Yeah, so I'm watching a Netflix video. It's been working for me for years. That's data, right? Where is it stored? Well, if I'm an end user, to me it's just magic. All I care about is to hit on play and I get to watch my movie. But to the IT professional working for Netflix, it's stored somewhere, right? So we got to build a building block for the learner to understand what's going on. Now, as we work down from storage, we're going to introduce the student to vSphere. Why are we going to introduce the student to vSphere? Anybody know why? What vSphere is? Okay, vSphere is VMware's technology for standing up a data center for virtualization. It has two components, ESXi and vCenter. vCenter manages the virtual machines. So you often hear people talk about today, they say, hey, it used to be you needed one administrator for every 10 servers. Then we got 1 to 100. Now you have one administrator serve 10,000 virtual machines. What they're saying is he's a vCenter expert. He can quickly create the VMs and then put applications on it using automation. Right? Make sense? So we're marrying administration skills with automation and software skills. So we're going to educate the student on virtualization. Now, this is where it comes into play, and it's good timing because the gentleman right there, if everybody know Dave Nelson? Dave Nelson is the director of the VMware IT Academy. Kim and Dave are going to work together with us to give us access to VMware software so your students can do labs learning about virtualization. On top of that, we're going to use VMware technology to introduce cloud concepts using vCloud. Is anybody familiar with vCloud? No? It's new to you? Or you guys are starting to interact? Come on, feedback. Feedback, just a little. So are you guys already familiar with vCloud? No, it's new? You do have familiar a little bit? Have you done any vCloud labs?
No, but I'm familiar with the concept.
Oh, okay, would you like to do a vCloud lab?
Sure.
Cool. How about you guys? You want to do some labs where you can kind of learn what I'm talking about? All right, great. We're going to show you how you can get access to all this. Now, this is a course overview. So basically, we're going to say, hey, what's the cloud? And then we're going to talk about the cloud. Then we're going to break down what the cloud is. It's running in a data center, right? Then we're going to talk about the virtualized data center. And we're going to start with like computing power, networking, desktop, and application. What is that? Anybody know what that's probably about? VDI, virtual desktop implementation. So businesses today, they're not refreshing all these desktops on people's desks. You can actually use a computer that is 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, but to the end user, it looks like it's a brand new operating system. It's just centralized in a location, and we're using virtual desktop implementation. So we're pushing their desktop over the network to them. Pretty cool? So they become a thin client, and all the technology's back in our data center. So we're going to introduce that to the student. Now, am I boring you guys to death? Because if I am, I want to stop boring you. Is this good? Is this relevant? Yeah, okay, great. All right, business continuity. Why is that important? All of our IT guys, we train them up to be IT experts. Then they go out in the industry and somebody hits them right in the face right away with what? They negotiate their salary. They negotiate budgets. And all of a sudden they realize in the real world you got to fight for your income. So does your boss have to fight for a budget. There's a business model tied to all this virtualization. How are we tracking it and understand it? Then we're going to do a primer to introduce you to cloud computing, and then infrastructure management. Then what's really important in today's world? All that NSA talk, all that other stuff, it's relevant. Security. How are we going to secure things, data in the cloud? Then cloud migration and considerations. So that's why I highlight this is a really good course, not just for somebody that's a beginner on the IT track, but for somebody that wants to pursue business. All right, now there's a lot of series of labs in here that we're going to produce for you. Now we just went through your learning objectives. Here's your chapters and the modules you'll teach. Here are the labs that we're going to do. So we're actually going to go and introduce the student to RAID. Anybody ever configure RAID on a server? Yeah? Cool. So when you first did it, how did you decide what version of RAID you're going to use? Do you remember?
Read the direction.
Yeah, first of all, how many disks do I have? And
how much compression, how much space do I want to have usable, how much of that space do I want to back up, what's the risk if I lose my data? All this is really relevant if you're managing a data center or working in a data center, right? So if you walk into a data center as an employee, as a technician, and you don't know what RAID is, and they're asking you to work on storage, you're probably lost from day one. Does this matter to an end user? Not at all. But if you're an IT professional, it's really important, really important. All right, then block level and file level storage. We're going to get them into some storage concepts, backup and recovery concepts. Anybody ever lost their data? Holy cow, what a bad experience. Can you imagine losing your data as a business? You know? Oh, that could have implications of federal government, taxes, etc. I mean, you could bankrupt the business because you don't have good backups. All right, then replication, deduplication. Then we're going to get in, here's where our VMware partners are going to come in and help us. Your student is going to get access for free to VMware software and actually start to play with vSphere and vCenter all the way that they can earn a VCA, VMware Certified Administrator, out of this class. Now, you're going to have them watch some self-placed videos, and we'll point you to those. So you're kind of getting the value, hopefully, real quick out of this little lab library. Now, here's the second series of labs. These are going to be more like a mobility, and then we've got a chargeback. Now, we're going to release these labs at the end of January, and every one of you will be having access to them so you can do them. You can even use them in the classroom. How many of you are EMC Academic Alliance members? Great. So if you wanted to, you could pilot these labs, and we'll host them for you. And you could actually use them with your students for free. We'll just work with you to get that pilot off and running. Would you be interested in that potentially? You got some students who want to do it? Terrific. How about you guys? Would you like to do these labs?
I'm interested.
Cool. We'll keep going.
The question is, what's in it for trained students?
What's in it for NDG? I'll explain that before it's over. Okay. All right. Here's the Series 1 labs, a little bigger, so you can get the titles. I kind of went through those. Here's the Series 2, a little higher. You can see we're going to talk about Converter, ThinApp, which maps to mobility, View, which maps to VDI, which is mobility, And then vCenter chargeback, i.e. that budget and billing. Why are we doing this kind of thing? All right. Now, for the EMC course, this course itself, it maps to 4 certifications. Not 1, but 4. Here are the certifications it'll map to. You can map it to the CIS certification from EMC. So they've got an entry-level cert. What does it cost to take that cert, Tim?
It's normally $200, but you can get it for $75. And if you are a member of the EAA, our program, it's unwritten, but if you want to be certified as an instructor, we don't require that. I can get you a free exam done.
All right, terrific. So that's cert number 1. VCA Data Center, which will map to the labs that we just taught. And Dave, you've got self-paced videos, right, that I'm going to give?
Correct.
And how much does that cert cost, Dave?
The cert is $120 and you get a 70% discount.
70%?
Yeah.
For everybody and anybody? Industry, commercial?
You've got to be a member of the IT Academy or the VMware program.
All right, so you join your program, you get a 70% discount off the VCAs.
Yeah.
All right, terrific. We're also going to have maps to the VMware VCA Mobility and the VCA vCloud. So these labs are going to be aligned to map to those certs and the self-paced videos. All right, here's the VMware cert roadmap. Remember, EMC's got one that maps to the class. If you're familiar with VMware from the past in their programs, they've got the expert certs that align at the VCP level. Now they're going to have the VCA, which is an introduction to virtualization, those different tracks. And they've got 4 tracks. They got cloud, data center, workforce mobility, and networking. You can get 3 of these 4 out of the labs we produced if you watch 3 4-hour self-paced videos, 1 for each of these VCAs. Pretty good deal for a student, especially at a 70% discount. All right. Here is the URL. You may want to write this down. You can watch these videos self-paced on your own, or if you teach this class at the right module, and Rick Watts is going to lay that out for you in a syllabus in the future, all you'd have to do is point your student outside of class as homework to watch that, and then they're ready to go take the VCA after doing the labs. They get to cert that easily. Great value for a learner. Here is the mapping of the EMC CIS labs that we've done to the VCA. Here's the data center mappings, here are the mobilities, and then this maps to the VCA CS, Cloud Infrastructure Services. We're going to add 3 additional labs of the Series 3 that will map to the cloud, VCA clouds. Okay? Any questions about the VCAs? We got Dave and Rick here. So, will any of you try to get your students to the VCA? Yeah? Okay. Great. All right, here is the actual topology. So when your students start using the lab, this is physically what they're going to access. They would open up a web browser, which I'm going to show you in a minute, and all they'd have to do in their web browser is click on the virtual machine and they would be able to access it. This is an ESXi server, this is vCenter, and a second ESXi server. That's because the virtual machines will reside on this ESXi server, and we're going to move the virtual machines around to the different ESXi servers, just like you would in a data center. And what do we have here? We have 2 storage arrays. All right? We're basically going to use FreeNAS, and to your student it's going to be a SAN, and they can do the labs off the SAN, storing virtual machines on the SAN. So your student has basically got a little mini data center, if you will. Build their own private cloud. Pretty cool? Yeah. All right. This is a Linux client. We didn't use a Microsoft client. Anybody know why? We want to host it for you at first. And what's the problem? Yeah. You got to pay a licensing fee otherwise. You guys can host all you want for your students with Microsoft programs. But we're not able to do that, so we use the Linux client for you. You use the Linux client to access vCenter. vCenter will manage the ESXis, and your student basically will see what somebody would do as a cloud engineer running a data center. Okay? Now here are the labs themselves kind of highlighted. This is the first lab in Series 1 that introduces RAID. We're going to have a student configure 3 different types of RAID. It's actually pretty cool. They're not going to have a server on their desk, to manipulate or play around on their own computer, take a risk with their own storage. Then we're going to play with block and file level storage. Here will be the learning objectives that they're going to do. Create the volume for NFS, create an NFS share, mount the NFS share from the client. So they're actually configuring a real SAN. Pretty cool. Then we're going to play with backup and recovery, and they're actually going to do these steps. So if you're a new student, it's going to feel kind of cool. You're going to feel like you're really doing something. You know, I think with a lot of the introductory classes, what we do is we teach from a book, and then they play around with a little client. But I think it's awesome when they can go brag about what they did, and they understand when they use an end application, and it was from the cloud, what was probably running that infrastructure. You know, there's something called things like Cloud Stack and OpenStack. Are you guys familiar with those? Okay, so OpenStack and Cloud Stack would be the non-licensed version of this. Now, if we jump the student right into those type of technologies, they'd be probably way over their head, right? Because they don't have any Linux background, So this material is designed to get them some basic overviews. So if they want to decide, is this for them, they'll get exposed to these concepts, okay? So replication, deduplication, so you're probably getting a feel for the level of the objectives of the different labs. So I'm going to go through this really quick so we can do the demo. Here's a series 2. Now this is the second set of labs. Most of the topology changed. So we basically are having to give them different applications on these virtual machines. And these are virtual machines your students will have during the whole set of these next 4 labs. So they're going to use converter. They're going to create and execute a conversion job, and then they're going to test the converted virtual machine. They're going to basically convert Windows Server virtual machine. And then they're going to play around with thin app application and execute a thin app application. So basically, they're going to manage an application running on a virtual machine. Okay? So your thin client here, to them, they're going to play around in that pod, and they're going to have that running as a thin client, and the actual operating system applications are going to come from the host, from the data center. All right? And then we're going to install VMware View, and they're going to play on it like VDI. View is VMware's VDI product, and VMware is giving you access to that for free. Okay? And then we're going to play with chargeback. Now, again, my techies love this because they feel like so many techies are out there that don't understand the business side of it. So you get a feel for, hey, there's a real world out there with real budgets, real money. Cloud computing is about a business aspect for somebody. All right, so that's the lab overview. That's what we're going to do in these labs. Now let me show you the actual lab environment. All right, I've already logged in. I'm going to jump right into Series 1 labs. Here's the actual virtual machines themselves, and just Mozilla Firefox. I've got my exercises preloaded. I can click on Understanding RAID, change the exercise, pull up my lab exercise. And what we do on purpose is we kind of help the student out by giving them a lot of background information. So here's our introduction material. Here's your objectives that you're going to do in this lab. And then we show the topology so they can kind of think about what they're getting ready to do. Then we make sure they have the passwords, everything that they're going to need as they do the steps. And then we start a very prescriptive lab exercise. So the reason we want to do this is a course that a lot of instructors may not be a VCP, but they'd like to teach the course. So we want to help you teach the material so it's very step-by-step prescriptive. It's not a case study. You're not standing up or building a data center from scratch. Okay? So we're actually going to walk the student through. In this case, we're going to hit the Linux machine. We're going to contact the Linux machine so we can get on the on the vCenter server and start managing our environment, setting up the RAID. Okay? Pretty straightforward. All right, now let me give you an example of how I'm going to access them. All I do is just click on the ESXi machine. And there I am, right on the command line of ESXi. So let me go over here to my Linux client. And this equipment is in, I believe it's either Fort Hays State University or North Carolina. I'm not sure which this box is. I'd have to ask my guys. That's the ESXi. There's the Ubuntu server that I'm contacting and accessing. So what I would do, my window is not where I can do it very easily, but I'd resize this, get my instructions up. Where was my PDF? Not familiar with this very well. There you go. I would just basically go one step at a time and follow the instructions going through the lab. So that's straightforward, accessing doing the labs. Now once I finish this first lab, I can just change lab exercise. Go over to the exercise tab. Click on it. And my next lab exercise will be ready for me to go through and do. Block level and file storage. And that's it. That's pretty much it. Now what we would have done if we had longer time, because each lab takes about 30 to 40 minutes, we'd actually let you do the labs. So what I would propose we do is we give you access to the labs and let you do them if you want. And then if you want to start using them in the classroom, you give us feedback on it. All right, so I'll open it up and see if you guys got any questions for me.
I have a question for you or Kim. How close does this map to the Cloud Plus competencies?
Oh, I don't know.
Talking about the
CompTIA Cloud Plus.
Probably not much. I mean, the way I understand CompTIA when I've heard CompTIA talk, is, theirs is really like designed to be even more entry level to get somebody ready to take a vendor certification. And so that was
Really entry level certification. It's not a build level or
Doing something.
Yeah.
it's conceptual. It's the concept kind of certification.
Yeah. But it would be
We just sort of class on it.
Okay.
Cool. I just not wrote a class, I mean,
Yeah.
put together like a proposal
Yeah.
to offer the class. It's kind of like a 2-unit class kind of thing. So
Yeah, well, I kind of got the same thing. I was looking at that, and I was wondering about having kind of the introduction and then moving into this and covering both in one class.
I'm going to do a separate 2-unit class.
Why not?
Virtualization concepts class or 2-unit class.
It depends on what makes most sense for your students.
Yeah.
And the way you have the program structured.
Okay.
So,
I don't have any data. I'd have to ask Alan of
yeah, but I do
CompTIA.
know just from, I was with CompTIA when I was in Panama with an Alan, but his counterpart, and he basically said that they're more designed to not be competitive with vendors, to provide that on-ramp
Oh,
to the students
yeah.
so that they can be more successful going into, which was enlightening for me because even though I knew CompTIA, it was, I go, aha.
Right.
Because I sat in on the webinars and been looking through the book, and it did seem that there was, I was thinking as well, if I was running labs with this, it did seem there's a lot in the range of labs that would accompany some kind of conceptual stuff.
Any other questions? For us, we want to get some schools to use it and give us feedback.
Yeah, we're really excited. I did mention we're doing our first cloud training for this with the NDG lab, and I will say we posted it, and the class is full in 2 days.
Yeah, it filled up in 2 days. 30 instructors.
Yeah, so we'll be offering, hopefully one, depends on our instructor, but maybe try to do it during the spring break time, but if not, definitely two classes over the summer, like one in December, and we probably do one ISM, but mostly focus on the class.
I personally think the big value for this is a student who's on an IT track can get exposure to what's going on in industry.
Yeah. And then this versus the ISM. Are you kind of independent, or you get one prerequisite for the other?
Well, it's going to be right now. So Mike's teaching the cloud course. You're working with John, right away? Okay. I'm not sure. I want to say Catholic, but I know it's not Catholic. Thank you. But I think it's Catholic cheese for whatever reason. But Mike is teaching it. He's been doing ISM and VMware for a number of years and using NDGs. But it would be better to do the cloud course and then do ISM.
Okay.
He thought that was,
cloud and fall and ISM.
yeah, then you would be better. It would be more of a that flow. That's from another instructor. If you want to get in touch with Mike, I'm happy to get in touch with him.
I would think
Mike Murphy.
I think you would go cloud storage, where you really do intense storage stuff, and then you go towards the VCP if they want to be on a real, get a job in this industry path.
And so we have a lot of people who do the VMware, ICM, sort of ECC, and what they say is that they do it without the storage. The students tend to do better if they've had the storage before they go into it. But it's kind of based on your students and whatever classes you have.
I just want to say the feedback that we've gotten from our advisory committee is that we should be teaching, these kind of storage technologies. So if that's helpful in any way, shape, or form. That's what we're hearing from our advisory committee.
Yeah, I mean, that's, a definite proof point.
And you can pay the answer.
We use FreeNAS in the introduction to cloud. We're using FreeNAS as the storage. For this, we're using OpenFiler. So they're gonna get exposed to two different storage concepts or technologies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what makes this really possible is using it open for schools. Like, you can't provide every student with a storage device.
Yeah, you could put a SAN under that.
It's great in this environment. It's all enabled by that amazing server virtualization that allows to create these VMs. So, I mean, I think it really has enabled, before we didn't really have a path to, if you try to do an EMC product lab class, 12 students, and the lab setup is way too cost prohibitive, and this is really a very affordable, scalable way. One of the things I really think that's great about NETLAB Plus is that you have their clients and you join it. You can do so many other programs. You're not limited to this one thing that enables you to do just this one program.
I think so many schools, though, aren't in a position really to use our product. That's why we do the sharing model, where we encourage one school, to share with others. Because so many schools aren't in a position to host the environment. And that's one of the reasons we want to host these labs for CIS. We want to get feedback and see, what the schools think of the hosted model. But the problem with the hosted model is there's a lot of software applications you can't license that way. You can't host for schools. They're going to have to do it on their own. Yeah. But these labs will be available this end of January for a few months for anybody to play around and use in the classroom and give us feedback. Any other questions, or how can we make this more attractive to the schools? What can we do to make it more attractive than this?
Give them money.
Cheaper? Cheaper than free? Cheaper than free? Hey, I tell you what, you guys hire me, I'll come work as a professor at your school. Will you guys pay a professor?
Not enough.
I'll teach a class. Oh, okay, well, forget it then.
Faculties always have more to do than they have time for.
Yeah.
They make time when it's either their stipends paid or expenses are paid like this.
Yeah, ICT is taught like it's an English class, unfortunately, right?
Well,
The amount of hours you get sometimes?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, the amount of hours you get? Yeah.
It's all classes.
Yeah.
It's just, there's more to do than there's time for, and you have to have incentives. And if you have, I know that MPICT does a summer one month intensive, and the EMC was there with a course.
We've been there with ISM,
Go for it.
and I really say that I think Bob with the lab will be coming out talking to James about. We were talking about it with him.
Tell him to email info
ready with the lab then. So this summer we have an summer training or done the one through the TTC, and I think we probably will with labs. But the interesting thing is when we've done the storage course, for whatever reason,
and what we'll do is we'll make sure they have access to it.
So I think the cloud was still though, and that's the thing. It definitely was because of just the demand, and it's more sexy. I mean,
It's just what's demand, it's what the marketplace wants, what the employers are asking for.
Yeah.
And then that will hopefully get to instructors.
Yeah, we want
Instructors will want to teach it. The whole goal is student success.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, so you want to get the students the jobs.
Yeah.
That's, if you make it easy, you take it to them, and school finish instructors, they just walk back and don't have to do it.
Yeah. Data are having that conversation this morning.
Maybe just talk to you more.
So great. So I have my cards here if anybody wants one. I know Wayne, you already have mine. You're already on ours. And but if anybody else wants one.